Hi there! I'm so glad you continue with me on this free course. So far we have touched 4 very important topics. Number 1, motivation, the foundation of the whole process. I cannot stress enough the importance of motivation. Number 2, listening. Language acquisition comes predominantly from the things that we listen. If we can understand the message and the message is interesting, we are in the right path. Number 3, repetition. If listening is very important, which it is, repetition is just as important because it helps us internalize the language, vocabulary, pronunciation, and the result is we can speak naturally without thinking of the grammar. Number 4, context. The general information surrounding a word or a sentence can help us understand the general idea. Also, it can help us infer the meaning of new words or the tone we need to use. I want you to imagine a muscular guy. No, way more muscular, but with very skinny legs. How does that look like? But more importantly, how did that happen? Well, the answer seems pretty obvious. This guy only worked out his upper body, but he didn't do any exercise routines for the legs. The same thing goes when our brain is trying to learn a new language. We can find one activity that works and do it for a long time. We are going to see results, of course, positive results. But maybe, only maybe, we might be ignoring other activities that can be very useful to our language acquisition. To obtain a perfect body, we need the exercise, but we also need the diet. When we talk about listening, we say that it is very important that the things we listen to are interesting, but we all know that the interest also wears off. And when something is no longer interesting or relevant, it's time for a change. Because the brain is a muscle, just like any other in your body. If you go to the gym because you want to grow some really badass abs, you can find one powerful exercise routine and in time you will see results. But at some point, that particular exercise might stop being effective and we need to change it, or we might not see any more results. And the same goes for our brain. We may listen to something that is very interesting at the beginning, but when it starts becoming boring, the brain will decide not to absorb anymore. The brain is a wonderful machine and it needs variety. It needs novelty. It enjoys learning more and more, and we have to help it. What I'm trying to say is this: stick to a material that you like and understand, but when you feel like you need something new, just go for it. And the same goes for the kind of things that we do when we listen and apart from listening. Of course, like we said, listening is incredibly important, but we can do a lot of other things aside from listening to make your acquisition more complete, and I'm gonna give you some options. Number 1, listen. I already said that, didn't I? Number 2, listen and read. If you have access to the transcript of what you are listening, listen and read at the same time. It may not seem like much, but when we do this, our brain makes associations of the spoken language to the written words. For example, take this word. How do you pronounce it? Genre? Dren? It's actually genre. Genre. If we only read this word, we wouldn't know its pronunciation. If we only listened to it, we wouldn't know its spelling, for both are really different. This is fairly common and especially in English, and that is why listening and reading help us close this cycle. Plus, we can look up words that we didn't understand when we were only listening. This is going to increase our comprehension, and as we said, the more we understand, the more we absorb. Number 3, only read. Whether it's a text of what you are listening or a different text, read as much and as often as you can. When we read, our brain has a chance to focus on more specific words, particularities of the language, special features, and so on. Reading is responsible for a lot of our vocabulary and complex structures gain, and as you surely know, the language we use to speak and the language we use to write are completely different. 4, repeat, imitate. When we listen, our ears, little by little, get accustomed to the sound of the new language. If we listen a lot, we will be able to produce well-sounding language in a short period of time. However, there are some physical differences between English speakers and Spanish speakers. Have you ever heard an American trying to pronounce the word refrigerador?
This is refrigerator, and I'm not gonna pronounce it the Spanish way.
Refrigerador.
Yeah, no. Refrigerator.
Refrigerator.
Refrigerador.
That's
way more syllables.
I feel like I just skipped a bunch of letters in that one.
Jesus.
Refrigerador.
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 Wait, you roll a single R?
Do
They cannot produce this sound because this sound doesn't exist in English. The strong R is hard for them, and even though the spelling is almost the same in both languages, there are way more syllables in the Spanish pronunciation. And for this reason, their mouths are not built to pronounce it. Something similar happens to us. We can recognize some sounds in English, but when we try to say them, we just can't. It's a completely normal thing. Fortunately, these special sounds are a minority in all the English vocabulary. Nevertheless, when we encounter those sounds that are difficult for us to pronounce, we have to practice them and help the muscles in our mouth get ready for it. And the best way to do that is imitation. Think of yourself as an impersonator and try and repeat those sounds as closely as you can. The muscles in our mouth are always speaking in Spanish, so if in the beginning it seems a little complicated, don't give up. Remember, practice makes perfect. Number 5, sing. Yes, sing. You don't have to be a great singer or go to a karaoke club and sing in front of a lot of people. Just sing, for fun, just for the heck of it, to relax, in the shower, sing. When we sing, we do what I mentioned in the last point. We imitate, we follow the melody of the music, we pronounce entire phrases, we stress words in the right syllables. And all this, in the end, pays off. Give it a try. Number 6, write regularly. A lot of people say that the only way to learn how to write is by writing. Personally, I don't subscribe to that belief, because you cannot write something that you don't know. I think that we learn how to write by reading. But then, why do I recommend you to write regularly in English? Because it has some great benefits. For instance, when you write down words in English, your memory finds it easier to remember them. If you write in English, you will have a record, a personal reference for the future. Also, writing makes you smarter. Seriously. I will go into more detail about that and other things you can do to exploit reading and writing in a future episode. So, as you can see, there is a number of things you can do to add variety to your learning process to make it a better, more effective, and more enjoyable experience. This is the end of principle number 5, connect the dots. I really hope you are finding this information useful and that you feel like watching the next one, because I have some more things to share with you. So, join me for the next episode. See you then.